I have 10 wines in front of me, and we're going to find out which wine is the best. So before we dive in, let me tell you a little bit about these wines and a little bit about myself. So my name is Zachary Hamel. I am a sommelier, an international bartender, and a world traveler. I've pretty much been to every single one of these countries. And more about the wines, these are all Pinot Noirs, okay? So we have Pinot Noirs from California, Argentina, Chile, New Zealand, Willamette Valley, Oregon, and then France. These two are Burgundy. That is the top of the top, okay? When we talk about Pinot Noir, it is pretty much one of the most mercurial and most confusing grapes out there. And the reason that is because it's so popular. It's just as popular as Cabernet Sauvignon, and it can absolutely punish new wine buyers because it's so popular, but it can be marketed and mass produced in such a way that you lose a lot of quality. And so what we're going to answer today is which wine is the best, which region or climate produces the best Pinot Noir. And if those last two words were gibberish to you, okay, region and climate, think about it as which country produces the best Pinot Noir. And so again, we have Pinot Noirs from California, Argentina, Chile, New Zealand, Oregon, and then France. And the way I separated these Pinot Noirs is from warm climate to cold climate, okay? So Pinot Noir is a cool climate grape. It thrives. It absolutely thrives in cool climates. So we're going to answer a lot of questions today about Pinot Noir. Which country produces the best? Which state produces the best Pinot Noir? We're going to go over things like complexity. When I talk about complexity, it's smelling one thing and tasting another thing. Pinot Noir is a great example of a wine that can be complex. All right. And so what I'm expecting from these Pinot Noirs is the wine will smell earthy and then it will taste fruity. It'll taste like red fruits. Okay. That's what I'm expecting out of my Pinot Noirs. That may not be the case for all of them. I know Meiomi is a very popular one. However, I cannot stress enough that if you have not tried Meiomi before, try it before you bring it to any other party because it's not everyone's cup of tea, okay? So I'm going to open these wines. I'm going to have them decant for 1 hour. I'm going to come back in an hour, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the color. I'm going to sniff them, taste them, all right? So we're expecting the warmer climate to have a deeper red color, and we're expecting the cooler climates to have a lighter red color. I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so what I've done is I've separated the two groups of Pinot Noir into warm climate and cool climate Pinot Noirs. These, California, and then Argentina. And then these are France, Oregon, Chile, and New Zealand. So I have this white piece of paper in front of us. I'm going to take each bottle and each wine and show you the bottle, show you the color in the glass. We're going to start with the warm climate Pinot Noirs just to get a color basis. We're going to see a lot of differences in the two groups here. So we're going to start with the warm climate. Okay, this first wine is Mirassol. I'll just show you right here and then we'll get into it. Mirassol Pinot Noir. And I think you'll really see a difference in the first wine as opposed to the second wine, and we'll go down the line. But let's jump in. Okay, so go ahead and follow my hands, follow the order of things. What we're going to do is we're going to start again with that Mirassol. It's from California. I'll show you the bottle, and then I will show you the wine. All right, so we're starting off in California with a pretty clear red, very light colored Pinot Noir. You can see right through it as compared to the white background that we have here. You know, this is typical for Pinot Noir, a very light red color. I'd go so far as to add a little crimson at the top, a little bit of orange at the top and bottom there on the outside, slightly opaque. This color is a lot lighter for California, but like I said, you'll see a huge difference between this one and the next one, which is going to be our Mirasol versus our Meiomi, both from California. All right, so we're going to move forward. I'd call this a very light, medium light garnet, a little orange tinge at the top there. Now, this is a Meiomi Pinot Noir from California 2023. Okay, you can already tell a pretty significant difference with that darker, deeper, rich color, almost purple on the ends there. You can't even see through it to get to the white background. And again, this is more typical of a warm climate grape. All right, so darker reds coming from warm climates means richer, deeper flavors. And then lighter climates will put together lighter color, zestier, a little bit more zippy wines. With this, I'd give it slightly purple, not very typical of Pinot Noir. Again, Pinot Noir thrives in cooler climates. All right. The reason being it's a very light skinned grape. And so it develops into a deep color in the warm climate, but that can also bring out a lot of imperfections. Pinot Noir is known to be very earthy and have a mushroomy tone. And if you leave it out in the sun too much, it can develop dewy characteristics. Imagine stewed mushrooms. That's why Pinot Noir is so fickle, is because it can be done wrong. It's a light-skinned grape. It can absorb a lot of heat without repercussion. Okay, we're moving on to our last Californian grape. This is Calavida from California. Again, that's a little darker than the first wine and then a little lighter than the last one. I'd argue that nearly all of this is orange. The year on this Calavida, let me see here, is 2022. So it's about a year older than the last two grapes. But again, that lighter color is more typical of Pinot Noir. So we're going to be seeing everything get lighter and lighter as we move out of the warm climate grapes. Next, we're going into Argentina. All right, so this is the final warm climate grape. This is 1,000 Lives from Mendoza, Argentina. And you can already see just how incredibly dark it is compared to that first one and compared to the cooler climate Pinot Noirs you're about to see. Okay, so we're moving on to the lighter climate Pinot Noirs, starting with Chile. The reason we're starting with Chile is because we just got done with Argentina, and those two are neighbors. They are so close together. You will hear me say this over and over again. Chile and Argentina are right next to each other, but completely different climates. All right, so here's the reveal for Chile. It is a lighter red, orange, crimson. Again, typical of Pinot Noir. You can see completely through, which is, in my opinion, a good thing when you're talking about Pinot Noir. I'll go right back to the Argentinian grape just to show you real fast. You can see they're slightly similar, but Chile has a little less of that dark red color in the middle. That dark red color in the Argentinian glass has a way larger circumference. And so, just a small difference, even though those two countries are right next to each other. Again, Argentina being a warmer climate and then Chile being a cooler climate. We're going to move forward now. So this is the Pinot Noir from Willamette Valley, Oregon. It's from Samuel Roberts Winery. And this is a 2024 as well. So again, a younger grape. It's got a deeper red color than you'd expect coming out of Oregon. However, it's got more red and less orange to it. And the reason for that is because it's a younger grape. As red wines get older, they get more orange. So that has to do with age. All right, we're moving over to New Zealand, and New Zealand is a huge sleeper pick just because it is a very, very great region for lighter grapes, like white grapes like Sauvignon Blanc. And it's also known for Pinot Noir. I'm very excited to try this one. You can see just how orange that is. And again, remember what I said, as they get older, they get more orange. This is from 2021. The last two grapes, they were from 2024. For all the viewers right now, it's 2025. So this is 4 years old at least. And it is way more orange. Still very light. You can tell it's extremely light. I'd argue that this is one of the lightest ones that we've seen so far. All right, and so now moving on to France, finally. French wine is supposed to be the most expensive and most elegant and most beautiful wine. We will see if that's the case here, but Pinot Noir and France, especially Burgundy, which is going to be the next two wines. This one is not from Burgundy, it's from Pays d'Oc. Looking at the color here, we are going to be calling this a medium light. It's a little heavier than that New Zealand wine, less of an opaque lining on the outside, more of that dark middle. You can see through it with my hand. When we take this compared to that Meiomi, again, you remember how dark that Meiomi is compared to the other wines, and you see how deep and dark that gets in the middle. All right, and so that's just a huge testament to the light versus the darker and the warm versus the cooler climates. And so we're going to move into Burgundy now with our first Burgundy from Domaine Saint Germain. Okay, and this is a 2022. Again, a little bit more orange than the last one just because of that age. However, it's very light. If I can get rid of that glare, it has just a small dark circle in the center. Everything else is opaque. You hold it over the end of the table and you can tell even more how light it is. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so this is a Burgundy. Burgundy is known for being the best. However, I'm sure there are Pinot Noirs on this panel that will compete and maybe even beat these two Burgundy wines. This being the first one, about $15. This next one is about $50. All right, and the final Pinot Noir. It is deeper, richer, and slightly orange. The outside is pretty transparent. Pinot Noir seems to be pretty consistent across the board here. And again, this is the $50 bottle of wine compared to the last one. It looks like they're pretty similar. So we will see in just a moment when we test the nose, when we do the sniff test, as well as the taste test, if it can compete. Let's get right to it. Okay, so it's been an hour. I've let the wines decant. That is extremely important. If you are drinking red wine, let your wines decant for an hour. But we've gone through the colors. If that didn't really make sense to you, the warm climate versus cold climate and the lighter versus dark, that doesn't matter. What we're going to do next is I'm going to test the nose of each one of these wines. I'm going to sniff them, give you my analysis as a sommelier, and then we're going to taste test them. I'll give you the analysis there. This is all unfiltered. I'm trying most of these wines for the first time myself. The only two wines that I've tried before is Murasao and Meiomi. Those are going to be the first two wines. Okay. So when I smell this Murasao, I smell light red cherry, a little bit of chocolate, white mushroom, very light. When I smell this Meiomi Pinot Noir from California, I smell caramel, dark cherry, maybe even some blackberry. You do get that earthy tone, just ever so slightly. It feels like it's super sugary. Again, caramel. When I smelled this Calaveda Pinot Noir from California, I smell. Whoa, that was so different. It smelled a little bit like rubbing alcohol, but it also smelled like white pepper, light white mushroom. Again, I'm not getting much fruit at all on this one. Gasoline? Petrol would be the word that you use as a sommelier, I guess, but like petrol, gas. Again, that rubbing alcohol, that's strange. You know, usually if you give it almost smoky, you give it an hour and it smooths out all those unflattering notes. That's why we decant stuff. But that was interesting. I'm not very excited to taste that. Just my opinion. When I smell this Thousand Lives Pinot Noir from Argentina, I smell. That was great. That was fruit forward. I'm going to go regular cherry, not dark cherry, light brown mushroom. So a little bit darker brown mushroom than the first two, maybe a little black pepper. All right, we're ending the warm climates with Argentina, and we're going to move into the cooler climate Pinot Noirs, starting with Chile. When I smell this Pinot Noir from Chile, I get light red cherries and I get ocean. I get a lot of salinity and almost that sea breeze. This is the first time I'm trying these wines, but you can smell the salinity that comes with that ocean breeze. Just imagine salt water evaporating and then the winds picking that up and taking it into the grapes. That's what's going on here. That's awesome. Again, light brown mushroom. I even pull in some of the soil, so forest floor, and then white pepper. So that's cool to point out as well. I got black pepper with this one. I got white pepper over here, so I don't know what's going on in South America. When I smell this Pinot Noir from Oregon, I get, ooh, ooh, I'm finally getting some pomegranate. Light cherry, pomegranate, a little bit of chocolate, again, milk chocolate, very fruit forward. I'm not getting a lot of earthiness here. That's beautiful. I'm not getting a lot of the earthiness, and that's not a bad thing. That's just going to lead me to believe that this is a Pinot Noir or a wine that I smell exactly what I'm about to taste. When I smell this Pinot Noir from New Zealand, I get white mushroom, white pepper, cranberry, which is interesting. It's just got a more abrasive feel to it. I wouldn't call it fruit forward. I would say the first thing that I got out of it was minerality or those white peppery notes. When I smell this Pinot Noir from France, I get, you know what's funny is that they all just start to smell the same. And I hate that as a sommelier because this is just like so fun for me. But you gotta admit, they kind of smell the same. Straight off the bat, I'm getting light mushroom. Then I'm getting hit with tart cherry. It seems very basic, very average compared to everything that we've smelled. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. Cherry and mushroom, honestly, a very great representation of what to expect with Pinot Noir. Okay, when I move on to this Burgundy from France, this Pinot Noir from Burgundy, France, which is supposed to be the staple. The best Pinot Noirs come out of there. I'm very excited to show you my initial reaction with it, but I haven't had a Burgundy in a very, very, very long time. So when I smell this Burgundy Pinot Noir, I get, wow, wow, wow. You know what? Things get the reputation they do for a reason. Wow, that jumped off the page with awesome, awesome, just voluminous, pungent, whatever you want to freaking call it, very extremely loud mushroom. Very exciting. For those, I'm not even drinking the wine yet. Okay, all right. For those who do not know me, I hate mushrooms. I hate mushrooms. I will not freaking eat a single mushroom ever in my life if I can help it. That jumped off the page with mushroom. That is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm looking for. That's what we call complex. When I smell this $50 Burgundy from France, I get, take a deep breath for this one. All right. I get, Oh my God. Things have a reputation for a reason, guys. When we're talking mushroom, that's freaking mushroom. And let me tell you, it stinks. It stinks in the best kind of way. You would smell this and you would go, that smells awful. And here's how I would want you to reframe that. When I smell this Pinot Noir from Burgundy, France, that's $50. It's supposed to be the best one on the board here. I smell the most pungent, loudest, and strongest aroma I've gotten the entire time. With Argentina, I couldn't even freaking smell anything except for cherries, a little bit of that black pepper, right? I had to pull that out of the freaking ground though. But when I smell this Burgundy, it's just so strong of a earthy mushroom, like a porcini. I don't really know mushrooms because I freaking hate them, but it it smells so earthy. I promise you, you would smell it and you'd be like, "Oh, this is going to be awful." But the reason we call it complex is because it's probably going to taste freaking amazing, and it's probably going to taste like cherries. Okay, so now that I've taken a whiff of every single one of these Pinot Noirs, we're going to move into tasting them. And I'm going to sniff them briefly, very briefly. And then I'm going to take a sip, give you my real, authentic, first impression. Again, I've tried the first two wines. I haven't tried a single one of the others. So we're going to see which wine is best. All right, starting with Mirasol. When I smell and taste this Mirasol, I get vanilla, chocolate, cherry, light cherry. Ooh, really very acidic. The vanilla rings true. In the end, that comes from the barrel. And the barrel is oftentimes used to accent wines, but it's also oftentimes used to cover up imperfections. Too sharp and therefore too young, it's trying to compensate with that barrel for a bad yield, and that depends year after year. And it's just a little too zippy, a little too imperfect, and that's not letting me get to the fruit. Okay, I can barely taste anything but the vanilla, maybe a little bit of cherry if I really look. So, all right, when I smell and taste this Meiomi Pinot Noir from California, cheers, I get, remember, this was the darkest one. This was the just extremely dark for a Pinot Noir. Just smoke, tar, caramel, smoke and tar. There's a lot of barrel on that one as well, but it's different from the first one. Almost like asphalt sort of feel to it. Not everyone's cup of tea, not indicative of a Pinot Noir. It feels like it's a Pinot Noir that's supposed to be a light red grape trying to be a Cabernet, which is a strong, very powerful dark red grape. Meiomi, very popular. Not everyone's cup of tea, though. I would absolutely say try it before you bring it to a party. That being said, when I smell and taste this Calavita Pinot Noir from California, I get, okay, regular cherry, again, some sort of very interesting note I hope to uncover. That really wasn't terrible. Almost a vegetal note as well. It's kind of earthy. What is that? Maybe a little bit of that gasoline, like we talked about earlier, but this one's really stumping me in the sense that it's so just one dimensional. It's got no other characteristics except for that cherry and a little bit of petrol, smoky gasoline. So if that's your thing, then go for it. All right, finishing out the warm climate Pinot Noirs with Argentina. When I smell and taste this Pinot Noir from Argentina, I get that black pepper note right off the bat, a little darker cherry. That's great, actually. Wow. That's the first one out of those Pinot Noirs that has started to feel like a Pinot Noir. What I mean by that is that feels fresh, acidic, not zippy like the first one, but refreshing and crisp. And so kudos to Argentina. I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm getting sort of mocha chocolate coffee. I would confirm black pepper there. That is a wine I would actually buy again. That's incredible. Look at that. I went for a third sip. Moving away from the warm for the last time into the cold, we are going to start with Chile, which after tasting that Argentinian one and really liking it, I'm pretty excited for Chile. So this will be a great kind of battle to see warm versus cold, but not only that, to see warm right next to cold and if that makes a huge difference. So here we go. When I taste and smell this Pinot Noir from Chile, I get very bright notes, light cherry, maraschino cherry, light brown mushroom, a little bit of chocolate. Let's do it. Wow, that tastes completely different from every single freaking one of these. Every one of these. And if you're like, Zach, you're a sommelier, you should know this, and you should also not be freaking out so much. Holy crap. Holy crap. Okay. Remember what I just said. This one is the first one that felt like a Pinot Noir because it's acidic, because it's energetic, because it has some bright, crisp characteristic. When I just tasted this, it smacked me in the face with maraschino cherry. It gave me the sweetness in my cheeks from that acidity. And it was just like aromatically, it's pretty strong. However, that bled straight into the taste, and it showed me that mm, Chile has a very cool way of doing Pinot Noir. It almost candied cherry. That may not be your cup of tea, but they did it very well. So I'm going to say that this has been my favorite so far. You're looking for the brightness, you're looking for the acidity. So that was impressive. Very well done, Chile. I am thoroughly impressed. Favorite one on the board so far. Okay. When I taste and smell this Pinot Noir from Oregon right here, I get pomegranate. I got the pomegranate. There it is. Here we go. Mm, mm, nice. Okay. So the pomegranate did ring true. Regular cherry, just wild cherry. Very fruit forward. Very fruit forward. There's barely any earth on it. That kind of makes sense. You can almost say milk chocolate. That kind of shows up at the end here as I'm talking. But, one dimensional. One dimensional. I'd go as far as to say as I liked the Chile better than the Oregon, and I didn't expect to do that at all, I promise you. So, when I smell this Pinot Noir from New Zealand, I get whew, light brown mushroom, cherry. I think I said that earlier. It seems pretty consistent. A lot of earth, a lot of earth. All right, for the taste. Wow. Okay. So what just happened was that earth stayed with the earth from the nose to the mouth, from the from the nose to the taste. That earthiness stayed true, and that's not a great thing in my opinion. I get just this. It's like it's earth and mushroom with a hint of cherry on the taste. And if you like to drink your mushrooms, go with that one. I was expecting way more out of this New Zealand Pinot Noir, and I am thoroughly unimpressed. Thoroughly unimpressed. Wow. This has probably been the most disappointing one to me because because Like you've seen me ragging on California and the warm climate wines the entire video. This one comes in and featherweights. It's I almost said it sucks. It doesn't suck. But man, it's something that I wouldn't buy again. I really wouldn't. We are finishing out which wine is best, Pinot Noir edition with France. So when I taste and smell this Pinot Noir from France, I get mushroom, light brown, pretty much only light brown mushroom. Okay. Man, that's, I try to go back and find something else. That's it. Okay. Light brown mushroom. Nice. Nice. So cherry and milk chocolate. Very good. Just a hint of that. On the finish, it's kind of rising. It tasted like pomegranate. It tasted like milk chocolate on the finish, and that's really nice. That's a really, really decadent sort of feel when you're drinking wine. So, moving on to Burgundy, France. I've told you the entire video that Burgundy's the best. Burgundy is the staple. Burgundy is the poster child for Pinot Noir. Okay, we're going to see if that's true. France has the lead so far, so it's obviously going to win at this point, but let's see if Burgundy can take it. So, when I smell this Pinot Noir from Burgundy, France, the $15 one, I get light brown mushroom, again, a little bit of limestone or minerality, freaking seashells almost. Yeah, there's some salinity to it. That's really cool. And a little bit of chocolatey sort of afterthought. Okay, so here we go. That was great. Listen, I'm not sponsored by any of these, but that was great. Okay, so minerality shone through, shown, whatever. The minerality, the limestone, the seashells, that was like the pill capsule. And then inside the pill capsule, when it burst, cherry, pomegranate, slight maraschino cherry, a little bit on the lighter side with all those red fruits. There was a tinge of earthiness and a tinge of chocolate. Am I drunk yet? I literally have spent less than 20 minutes tasting these. There's no way. Slight earthy, slight chocolate, a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and that's probably why Burgundy has the reputation it has. I am very impressed. It takes the lead. When I taste this Pinot Noir from Burgundy, France, I'm going to pull it forward. Look at this. You may think I'm, pitching it because I've talked about it for so long and in such great regard because I learned that Burgundy is the best. We're going to find that out today. When I taste and smell this Pinot Noir from Burgundy, the $50 bottle, best on the board when it comes to price, I get stanky mushroom, porcini. Again, I don't know mushrooms, but stanky, forest floor. Man, nothing else. Like literally, that's not me short for words. Nothing else but straight up mushroom. Okay. And that's why I'm so excited to try this. Here we go. Okay. Does it take it? Does it take it? I don't know. I don't think it does. Cherry, dark cherry, a little bit of dark cherry. I got the earth. This was like one of the first ones that I got the earth on. I think, what was it? It was New Zealand that had just earth, and hell no. I really didn't get much chocolate on this. I got cherry, darker red fruits, dark red currant, sort of dark cherry, a little bit of darker in it. And I don't know how old this is. What's the vintage? 2022. That's indicative of a little bit more aged Pinot. Again, Pinot Noir is a red grape that acts as a white grape. So younger white grapes are what you look for. You age the reds, Bordeaux, Cabernet, a Barolo, you're supposed to age for like 15 years. That's extreme, but you age them for at least like 5. Pinot Noir is the exception because you age it for only like 3 years. You age white wines for like 2, and then you release them. You want that youth with Pinot Noir generally. This is the first Pinot Noir I've gotten the earth. I've gotten the cherry, and I didn't get much else. That's not enough to save it, I don't think. When it comes to if I would buy this again, no, I would not buy this again. But that's not to say it's a bad wine. I like it. I liked the other one better. I liked the last Burgundy better. I liked this one better. These are both Pinot Noirs from Burgundy, France. This is the $50 one. This is the $15 one. And I liked this one better. Way better. Not to say this is a bad wine. The winner of the Pinot Noir, which wine is best? Both wines from France, Burgundy, Pays d'Oc. Your winner is Burgundy, France. The $15 Pinot Noir from Burgundy. This Pinot Noir had it all. It absolutely showed out with a beautiful nose of earth, light brown mushroom, a little bit of cherry on the nose. And then you try it, and it's got cherry, pomegranate, milk chocolate on the back end. There's a certain sort of multi-layered experience to this wine, and I really, really, really think this takes it without a doubt. Your winner today is the Bourgogne Domaine Saint-Germain Pinot Noir from Burgundy, France. Again, all of these wines you can buy at Total Wine. That's where I pretty much got all of them. They'll be in the link in the description below, as well as the Coravin. And if you'd like to learn how to buy better wine, you can check out my course, Same Day Wine Survivor. I'll leave that in the description as well. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.